Hey everyone, my name is Aaron Hemingway and welcome to Hemingway's class. Before we get started with today's video, I do just want to give you a warning that this video does contain content about gun violence, about suicide, and if any of that is triggering to you, I want you to be forewarned. And like I said, if it is triggering to you, then please use your discretion and turn this video off if needed.
As you can imagine, it is a challenging, difficult morning. George is on the scene in Florida where another community is in disbelief, shocked by devastating violence, this time at that Florida high school on Valentine's Day.
This image, one that has become all too familiar. Students evacuating with their hands up. Good morning, everyone. We're coming on the air with breaking news. A school shooting with reports of multiple fatalities, this time in Santa Fe, Texas. It's outside Galveston. A suspect is in custody after opening fire this morning at the high school against Santa Fe. It's a developing story. We're getting details coming in. We want to turn right now to Pete Williams. He's in our Washington newsroom and has the latest. Pete?
Robert, we do begin with breaking news for our viewers in the West. We want to show you these pictures. Aerial shot of a middle school in Noblesville, Indiana. What has become a familiar scene. Students appear to be evacuating, running from their own school after reports that there has been a shooter there at Noblesville West Middle School. We want to turn to ABC News Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas. Pierre, again, another familiar scene for us.
There have been too many school shootings happening in the year 2018. Back in February, there was one in Parkland, Florida. A couple weeks ago, Santa Fe, Texas. And the most recent one came just a few days ago in Noblesville, Indiana. That's 3 cases of school shootings right there. And we're only into May, almost June at this point. If my research that I did online is correct, there have been a total of 43 school shootings or school incidents in one form or another related to this in the year 2018 so far. And like I said, it is only May. We're not even halfway through the year 2018, and we're already at this number. It is ridiculous. And so for that reason, in today's video, I want to discuss school shootings, suicide, and the Netflix series, very controversial, 13 Reasons Why. In the series 13 Reasons Why, a young lady named Hannah Baker commits suicide. And she's accompanied by her friend, Clay Jensen, who she confides in, with some tapes where she's basically telling her side of the story. And in this show, a lot of people either think it's great because it's raising awareness about suicide and the realities that teens face every single day, or they think that it's a dumb idea for a show because it's triggering for people, or because it's offensive. But I think that instead of avoiding the content, we need to be proactive instead of being reactive. We need to talk to our kids about this stuff. We need to talk to our students about this stuff. We need to, tell them the realities of these things, not shelter them from it. Because if we shelter them from it, then they feel like they can't talk about stuff like this if they're going through a difficult time. And they could just be another number of suicide. I bring all 3 of these things together, school shooting, suicide, and 13 Reasons Why, together because a lot of the times the person that's going onto the school campus is exacting revenge upon someone or someones that have hurt him or her in school. And then they turn the trigger on themselves because they can't bear the pain that, that people have put them through. That's suicide. That's a school shooting. And these are all this is the content that is presented in 13 Reasons Why. And yes, I believe that 13 Reasons Why is overdramatic because it is Hollywood. But I think if they didn't do things like that, then the show would be cheesy. And so I think that that's why they Hollywood it up a little bit. But the point is that these are realities that students in school face every single day. And we as teachers need to have our eyes open. We need to have our ears open to our students. We need to watch and pay attention and make sure that our students are okay. We need to reach out to them. We need to be the ones to help them, not expect them to come to us. We can't just tell them, well, let me know if you need anything, because a lot of times this is not going to work. They're not going to tell you if they need anything because they feel so hopeless anyway. They don't want to burden you. And so let's talk about what some warning signs of suicide are. Maybe a student comes to school drunk, they use drugs, they may have searched online, searched up how to commit suicide or how to commit suicide painlessly, or there just may be some sort of online search. They might be withdrawn. Maybe originally they were an outgoing person, but now they're more of an introvert instead of an extrovert. Or they may, go along with that, isolate themselves, not want to be around anyone. Maybe their school attendance is poor. They might also be insomniacs, not be able to get any sleep, and on the flip side of that, they may be sleeping too much because they have no interest. They might also be calling people to say goodbye, and they might also be exhibiting signs of aggression towards anyone, really, towards the people that they love and care about the most. This is their way. These are some signs of ways that students can be reaching out and saying, I need help, but don't have the strength to reach out and say, I need help. We need to watch for their mood as well. We need to look for signs of depression, anxiety, loss of interest, irritability, or again, just anger in general, anger at their peers, angry at you as their teacher, angry at the world. There might also be some health factors that we can observe, and obviously we only see them in school. We can't see what happens at home, so please keep that in mind as I go through this list. But some health factors that might also pertain to the signs that a student is displaying are depression, substance abuse, bipolar, schizophrenia, mood changes or poor relationships, conduct disorder, anxiety disorder, chronic pain. Think about if your body is just hurting and you just don't want to deal with it anymore. You don't want to go on. Suicide seems like a pretty easy way out of not having to deal with that anymore. Or traumatic brain injury. Some environmental factors are being able to have access to firearms or drugs, dealing with harassment or bullying. This is where we as educators can be especially active in school and keep our eyes open and keep our ears open and just be listening, not even necessarily to the act as it is happening, but listening to students around you talking about maybe an incident that might have happened where one student was harassing another student or bullying another student. It is so important. I cannot stress that enough. Also, one of the signs that we talked about was loss of interest or isolation, and that might be because of a student losing a family member or a close friend, just completely unexpectedly. I know me as an adult, a couple years ago, I lost my mom, and let me tell you, I fell into a deep depression. And you feel like you can never come out of it. So I know what that pain feels like. My wife knows what that pain feels like. She lost her mom 10 years ago as well. It's undescribable. And you don't know what it is until you've gone through it. Other signs that we can look for as well are historical factors. And these might not be as obvious, but again, we need to keep our eyes and our ears open. Has the student committed or has the student attempted to commit suicide in the past but failed? Do they have a family history of suicide? Or are they dealing with abuse, neglect, or trauma at home. How is their home life? Get to know your students. How is their home life? How do their parents treat them according to the student? And you are a mandated reporter as well if you are a teacher. So if you suspect anything is going on, then you have to file a CPS report, Child Protective Services, to keep our students safe. As I said earlier, we need to be proactive instead of being reactive. We don't want it to get to the point where it is too late. We want to prevent this from happening. And so let us start a conversation. Listen to your students. Don't argue with them. Don't tell them, no, don't do it. No, I don't believe that. No, you're wrong. Don't argue. Just listen. Ask questions. Be sympathetic. You might not understand what they're going through, but you can be there for them. You can listen. You can ask questions. And most importantly, you can offer hope. Like I said, I was in a deep depression. And there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. There's always a way out. Assess the risks of the individual. Do they have a plan to commit suicide? Do they have what they need to commit suicide, such as, drugs, a gun, a knife, another weapon of some sort, a rope to hang themselves, plans to go up on top of a building and jump off of it? Do they have any of that? Also, do they have a time set for it? Do they know when they're going to commit this act? And do they have a full-on intention to do it? So, once we've assessed those risks, let's take action. Let's help out our students so that they don't destroy their life. So they don't destroy the lives of others by their life being gone and just keeping the vicious cycle going. Let's encourage that they go seek professional help. Contact their parents, talk to them, let them know what you are observing in the student, let them know what you see, and encourage that professional help for them. Again, I've said it so many times, but be proactive, not reactive. Prevent it before it happens. Be there before it happens. You can also encourage productive lifestyle changes, such as eating better, sleeping more, exercising more. All these things are part of a healthy lifestyle. And maybe a student who is thinking about suicide are engaging in these life-changing activities. I know for me, exercise really helps. I'm obviously not a big person, but I liked walking on the treadmill. I enjoyed it because it got my heart rate up, and it helped take my anxiety down and my depression down, and it brought me down to real life. Because when you're depressed, nothing feels real. When you see the commercials on TV and you see the people saying I didn't feel anything, I felt numb. That is so true. They're not being over dramatic, they're not being Hollywood about it, but that is so true. Also, you want to develop a safety plan. So have the individual that's thinking about suicide, if they're thinking about doing it, instead of doing that, they need to pick up the phone, or they need to go out and start jogging right away. Whatever that is, whatever the individual is interested in or has been interested in, that's an alternative activity that they can engage in instead of committing suicide. We also want to remove the means of suicide. And obviously for us as teachers, like I said, we're not at home. We don't necessarily know what the student has access to, but again, communication with parents is key. Or communication with the Child Protective Services. Does the student have a gun? Does the student have drugs? Do they have what they need to commit suicide? Let's take those and let's remove them away from the student so that they cannot use them to end their life. And again, don't stop. Always be there for that student. It never ends. The pain, you know, it'll ebb and flow. It'll come and go. There'll be times when they're on cloud 9, just like myself, and there'll also be times when it just hits you out of nowhere. And I'm not even necessarily talking suicide here, because for myself, just the sadness that I feel knowing that my mom isn't here anymore. It comes. You can't expect it. You don't know when it's gonna come. And so continue that long-term support for that individual. And again, don't say, I'm here if you need me, but check in with them, follow up with them, have a conference with them. Just do whatever you can to keep that line of communication open and going for your students. And finally, if you're an individual that is thinking about suicide, just know that there's always help. The world would not be a better place without you. We need each and every single one of you in this world, because you make it a better place. Your story is important. Your story matters. You may not think it matters, but it does. It matters to the world, because your story, just like anybody else's story, although it might be different, it matters. So if you're thinking about suicide, reach out to someone. If you need help, don't do it. Just reach out for help. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline number is 1-800-273-8255. And you can call that number 24 hours a day for support and for help. Again, the number is 1-800-273-8255. There's always a way out. You don't have to go shoot up a school. You don't have to end your life to make things right or to exact revenge or anything like that. Hold on. If you feel like letting go, hold on, because it will get better. I promise it will get better. It may stink right now. It may continue to stink for quite a while, but it always gets better. And suicide is not the answer. Going and shooting up a school to exact revenge and then to turn the trigger on yourself, that is not a solution. Yeah, you want them to hurt maybe, if you've gone through abuse and through bullying, but it's not a solution. And again, I'm not saying that all school shootings happen because of this. I just want to raise awareness. I want people to know that there's a better way. I want people to know that they don't have to kill other people. I want them to know that they don't have to kill themselves. There's always a way out. There is always hope. If you need help, call the National Suicide Hotline number. I'll leave the number in the description below. Reach out to me. My wife and I love helping people. And just know that we're here and that we think your story matters, because you are so important. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you know someone who is suffering, who needs help, reach out to them. Don't just assume it's gonna get better for them. Reach out to them and be proactive, not reactive. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. If you're watching this video on Facebook, please share this video out as much as possible to help raise awareness of suicide and of just how there's a better way than that, or school shootings. I appreciate the time that you're taking today to watch this, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.